I just go overview first. Later, we will have specific chapter for each of the components. All right. So as introduction, I think everyone know what is Java technology. So basically, Java technology is they have about three evolution. They have Java SE, standard editions, which is runs on the desktop and laptops, and we have Java ME, which is runs on the mobile device. Okay, and then we have also Java EE, which is the enterprise edition run on the server. So this is the three types of Java technology that we have supported by Oracle. And before this, supported by Sun. Yeah, there is a Sun microsystem company. Then Oracle took over the Sun microsystem company. So now all the Java SE, ME, and EE will be handled by the Oracle itself. So what you have learned so far in your previous object-oriented course is Java SE, a standard edition, whereby you develop application for desktop application. When you are required to develop web application, you will use Java EE, which is the enterprise edition, meaning that you need to be run on the server itself. So Java SE, which is the one that you have learned in object-oriented, is actually standard edition with core functionality. We also have done the review, right? Last 2 weeks in our semester, week 1 and week 2, about the core functionality in SE, like object-oriented, what is object, what is class. And then I also have review concept of inheritance, polymorphism, abstract classes, and also interfaces. Right? So that is we consider as core functionality in Java. For EE, Java Enterprise Edition, we will learn about the extended functionality that will allow you to develop web application. So basically, you will still need the inheritance concept, polymorphism concept, even interface, the core functionality, plus the enterprise APIs. Enterprise API meaning that the servlet for the web, and then the JSP for the front end, the HTML plus JSP code, and also Java Bean. So all these are enterprise APIs. So this is the component of Java EE. And then in terms of use cases, Java SE normally when you develop, it will allow you to develop a standalone application. Standalone means you cannot share it on the server side. So it's just applicable to use in one terminal or one PC. Whereas for Java EE, you can put it on the server and then you can access it via the internet. So you can access it via Wi-Fi or even the mobile data or all the access via the network. So it supports scalable and also distributed application. So what it needs basically a server. So what you develop, you just put it on a server so everyone can access it. In terms of technologies for Java SE, you will use Java FX JDBC. For Java EE, we will use EJB, Servlet, JSP, and JMS. So this is the technologies that will be included in both Java SE and Java EE. So it's a difference between SE, the one that you have learned in object-oriented, and also the EE that we are going to learn in this course. So for EE, it does have a platform whereby you will have 3 tiers. The architecture is in enterprise. So it will have the first tier will be the client tier, where this is on the web pages itself. So we will use browser to access the web. And then on the EE server side, we will have web tier and business tier. So this is for GSP or JSF. And then the business tier is for containing the business logic, whereby this is in the enterprise bin or Java bin itself. And then you will have another tier, which is EIS tier. So this is a database. So where you will create a database and then you will create tables, and then you will create code to insert data to database, yeah, and so updating, deleting, so that kind of thing. Yeah. So this is considered as a full application. Yeah. So for enterprise edition, okay, this is the definition. Yeah, it's a widely used platform containing a set of coordinated technologies that reduce the cost and complexity of developing, deploying, and managing. Why? Because it provides all the APIs. Yeah, APIs allow you to make the application robust, scalable, reliable, and even secure. Yeah. So Java have all the APIs. Yeah. So the EE and SE, it's like SE is the core, and then the EE will build upon the SE. So we will use all the APIs in the SE as well. For example, we will use like if you want to use list, array, so everything is from SE. But EE will create the class and also reuse back whatever that SE have. Okay, the concept is still the same. We're using object-oriented, and then we can use inheritance, yeah, and also polymorphism to support our application. So EE basically is a set of new technologies like we will use servlet. Yeah, servlet is actually for the calling the API, which is using HTTP servlet. Yeah, so it will interact with the server API. So when I'm talking about web application, yeah, now it's about the enterprise application. Now, if we look at the Java web application, it basically generates interactive web pages that containing various type of markup language and dynamic content. Yeah? So basically, you will have something like HTML plus the code. Have you ever done application in PHP? Pernah develop tak web application using PHP? Have you? Anyone?
Uh,
Right. So it's the same thing. It's just not using PHP, but we are using Java. eh? So meaning that you need to have the concept of web server. PHP also have web server. Although mungkin you cakap you use them, right? But do you know that them is actually having three things? They are the database, which is the MySQL, and then they are the Apache server, and then they are the lagi satu PHP engine. So there are three things, three module in the XAMPP itself. So when you use XAMPP, everything is there, right? So you just put your code and then you connect it to the database and then you boleh deploy the application. So same thing with this course. In this course, we will use NetBeans. So in the NetBeans, we have the database itself, right? The database that can support MySQL, that can support Java, Apache Derby, yeah. So that is a lightweight of database that we're going to use for our web application. And then in the NetBeans itself also have the Java engine on EE, and also it does have server, which is Glassfish server. So we're going to use Glassfish server. So for those that plan to use Eclipse, also can. Yeah? So Eclipse will use Apache Tomcat as a web server. Yeah, the rest are the same. I think Eclipse also have database. Yeah? Or even if you want to use Kotlin, you also can use that, yeah, in our course. Yeah? So just download or configure the web server, whether you want to choose Apache server or you want to use Glassfish server. Yeah? So in Kotlin, you can configure yourself. Okay. So you are free actually to use whatever IDE that you prefer. But then, other than NetBeans, you have to configure yourself, because for NetBeans, the lab exercise is actually use NetBeans. Yeah, so much more simple if you want to use NetBeans. So the instruction, yeah, everything based on NetBeans IDE. All right. So now let's look at this definition. Yeah. So basically, it generates interactive web pages and dynamic. Okay. Before I go further, anyone here can give me different between website and web application? What's the difference between website and web application? Website vs web application. If you try to talk, maybe we can chat. Yeah, type on the chat. Anyone? What's the difference? Web application vs website. Come on. Are they the same? Let me give you example. Example website. tm.edu.my. Example web application. Island portal. So you are the student portal. Student portal. So what's the difference between your student portal with website UITM? Can you do with your student portal?
Interaction.
Interaction. What kind of interaction?
Mostly users. Student portal or user interaction where the UITM website are mostly more information sharing information.
Right. Thank you. So basically, your ITM website mostly static content, mostly information, right? So we call that one as a static content because it just can read the information. So they provide the information. Whereas for student portal, you can interact, meaning that you can log in. And then what else you can do with your student portal? What can you access from your student portal? Come on, kita pernah log in ke?
Mostly student bill and e-college.
Okay, so all these two components in the student portal. Where can you view your timetable? Not student portal. Can you view your timetable via student portal? Cannot.
I think from my student for the timetable.
From where? Student?
My student.
My student. So my student is a different application.
Yeah,
Oh, it's not the same as student portal.
but from the student portal we can access the my student.
Okay, so they provide link lah basically, yeah. Okay. All right. It'll be good if everything in one portal, right? You can only log in once and access everything. And they will restructure that later. So that's the difference, yeah. So website and also web application. So now you know web application require interaction, whereby you need to log in. You can do a lot of things. You can interact, you can view things that specifically personalized for you. So that is what we call as web application. You can add content. You can do something lah, basically, like your internet banking. So that is so one example of web application. Okay, so website is basically only for static content. Yeah? Right. So when we talk about web application in Java, these are the three components that we can use. Yeah, we have JSP, Java Server Page. This is similar to PHP because they are embedded with HTML. Yeah? So when you write JSP, so you will also have HTML in between or in the middle. So it's embedded together. Whereas servlet is totally Java, but you also can embed HTML by using some syntax. Yeah. So we will do the servlet later. Yeah, I think after this week, maybe next week we'll do servlets, and followed by JSP, and lastly is Java Beans. Java Beans is acting as a Java class. Yeah, so we will use Java Bean to create to create a class, and then we create object from the particular class. All right, let's move on to application server. So as we know, as I said earlier, it's like PHP. So for running web application, you need to have application server. So in our course, we will use EE server. So EE server is a server application that implements the Java EE platform API. So in the lab, when you use NetBeans IDE, so NetBeans will provide you to access Glassfish server. So that Glassfish server is the EE server. It's a server application. So in the Glassfish server, it has all the APIs, the EE platform APIs, and it provides the standard Java EE services. Sometimes we call this EE server as application server as well. Yeah? And then also it will acting as container in a form of container. The E server, the Glassfish server will be in the form of a container. So container is basically the interface between a Java component and the low-level platform specific functionality. So meaning that when you have Glassfish server, it will create an interface between the Java component, which is the Java class, and the lower level platform specific functionality. So this is actually referring to session, session management or transaction, multi-threading, and resource pooling. So if you are required to develop web application with session management, whereby you need to have login, logout, and manage the session, so you will implement the interface indirectly because they're providing the API. So you will call the API of session. So that will be implemented when you write the code using the interface. So we will still use interface, where we learned interface last week, right? So this is the concept of using all the core classes as standard functionality for the web. And then for EE container, it provides a separation of business logic from the source and lifecycle management. So it will separate the business logic. Business logic is in your Java component. And then, this will allow the developers to focus on writing the business logic rather than writing the enterprise infrastructure. Why? Because the APIs, all the Java API for EE have the capability for the enterprise infrastructure. So the programmers or developers will focus on writing the business logic. Business logic ini Java class lah. You will write the Java class, the functionality, what the application will do, rather than focus on session management, resource pooling, state management. So that kind of thing have been supported by the EE for the enterprise infrastructure. So this is an example of EE architecture. So this is your browser. So you will use HTTP API to call the web container. The container is the Java, is the Glassfish server that will have the servlet, the JSP, and then it will directly with the EJB container, EJB for the enterprise Java Beans, and then it will talk to the database itself. And in Java EE, we have all the enterprise architecture APIs. So this is all the APIs. So the class is there. You just need to create the object from the particular class. For example, you want to use JDBC. So you create class of JDBC. You create object of JDBC. So you will create connection object from connection class. And then you will create the connection of JDBC object from the JDBC. Same goes for transaction and also security and others. Okay, so you will create object and just reuse whatever methods that are available in that particular API. So all the API have been provided to support the enterprise architecture. So this is the example of EE architecture for application, for web application. Any question? So far, okay?
Okay, madam.
Let's proceed with hotel analogy. Okay, let's say this is the hotel building, yeah, the Java EE itself. The hotel reception is as the web container as the front end, yeah. So the room service is functionality that provide the functionality. And then the EJB container as the hotel kitchen. Okay, so imagine that this is the hotel building as a whole. So in the hotel, you have all the you have all the hardware, right? And then you have all the services. What else? You have you have rooms. And you have all the things like gym, everything can in the hotel building. So this is a web container. It will acting as a front end, which is the hotel reception. And then the EJB container is basically containing the business logic. So that's why the analogy for here is hotel kitchen. Yeah. And then the services that you provide is basically the room service. So this is the analogy for the EE architecture. So EE server has the hotel building. So the hotel will ensure the basic infrastructure is available, such as rooms, dining, and housekeeping. Whereas the EE container has the hotel, the rooms and facilities in the hotel. So for web container, it's a hotel reception whereby it handles the customer requests, right? And then it will direct them to the right location. So servlet and GSP will handle this. And also it will manage the session tracking and ensure the guests will get the service they need quickly. For EJB, which is here, the EJB container here as hotel kitchen. So it handles complex business logic, just like manage the meal preparation behind the scenes. And then the application client container is the room service, whereby it provides the services. So this is the Java SE application that interact with the Java EE server. Okay. Boleh bahas EE architecture? Got the idea? Right. So let's look at another example. Hello World application. So when you are requested to develop a Hello World application, so you have a browser here. So you write a code. Yeah? The code is servlet. So this is the servlet to display the Hello World. Okay. First you post, okay, the post action will be called and to write the servlet, and then we will write to the model logic for the processing the messages or writing the servlet. And if you have a database, you can store it in the database, and it will respond back to the display servlet, and using the HTTP GET method to display back the hello world on the browser side. Although you look at the what being displayed, hello world is basically very simple, right? But this happen at the back end. Yeah. So the process, yeah, in the web container, in the JB container, and even in the database. So this happen all in the web server, yeah, not in your PC. You are only using browser in your PC, but the processing part is on the server side. Yeah, whatever that you call ataupun you tulis dekat URL, yeah, it will be called directly on the server side. Right. So that's all about the EE architecture. So now let's move on to the framework, the pattern itself. So in Java, you do have many patterns, but we will only focus on one pattern. Yeah, we will focus on the MVC, which is the Java EE pattern. Okay, this is the MVC, the model view controller. So model is acting as the one that will handle the business logic. Okay, normally we will use Java Bean, Java Bean as code for model. And then view will always the front end to update the presentation of your application on the web browser. Controller is normally we use servlet, the one that will control, will manage. Okay, view will ask the controller, hey, I want some data, and then you need to update the data via the model. Okay, so the controller will manage all the interaction between view and model. So this is MVC. So for your group project, you need to implement this MVC, model view controller. So this is the framework or the pattern itself. So this is basically MVC used to separate the application logic from the user interface. So as I said just now, model define the business layer, which is the business logic. Controller manage the flow from model to view. View will define the presentation. So model will consist of Java class, controller consists of servlets, and view will consist of GSP. And so we can have the structure. You can see the structure later in the NetBeans itself or even in the folder of your Java code. So for example, you have MVC example. This is analogy lah. Okay, every car consists of three main parts. View as the user interface. So the gear lever, the panels, the steering wheel, the brake. So the interface, front end. And then controller. Controller is the engine itself, the one that runs signal. If you want to signal right and you want to go to the right, you tekan dia punya panels, right? And then it will interact with the engine. Engine will send a signal to give away, right? And then for you to move the steering to go to the left, for example. And then model here is the storage, which is the petrol. Yeah? Okay, the tank itself. So the car runs from engine, will take fuel from the storage, but it runs only using mentioned user interface device. So this is an example of MVC. Any questions?
Tak ada, madam.
Faham konsep ni?
No question, madam.
That is the end of my slide. Okay, let's look at the question in tutorial. Okay. Right. So let's discuss this. So just now I have actually discussed about the three types of Java. I have Java SE, Java EE, and Java ME. Okay, there are three of them. What are the likely relations between these types of Java? Go on. Anyone? SE, EE, and ME. What are the similar things or relations that they have?
All of them use Java as their programming language.
Sorry, not clear. What
Uh,
is it?
the similarities is all of them use Java as the baseline.
As the baseline, Java. Okay. Basically, they use Java code lah, right? Java as the baseline. Okay. Do you know what is Java runtime? Have you heard about Java runtime? Anyone? It's like when you run an application of Java, it will appear something like, will you allow this Java runtime to be run in your laptop or PC? Have you ever encountered that? Yes? No?
No.
No? Or maybe
No.
because you have not run Java application. So if you create an application of Java and then you want to run the Java application, you are required to have Java runtime. So that Java runtime is basically the Java baseline, the one that your friend said just now. So each of these three required a Java runtime to run, to run an application of Java that develop on SE or EE or NE. You need to have Java runtime environment, GRE, Java runtime environment. So that is the answer basically for light duration between this type of Java. So you need to have GRE, Java runtime environment. All right, let's move on to number 2. Describe the difference between web server, web container, and application server. Based on the picture, let's see. Can anyone want to try? Based on the figure, can you differentiate them? Web server, web container, and application server. Are they the same? You can type in the chat. What's the difference? Heather, you see what is in web server. You can see in the web server you have web pages plus graphic files. And then in application server you have template page, code, and data. So what did this tell you? Come on, can anyone hear me?
I don't know, madam.
Right. So what's the difference?
Web server mostly on pages, and the web container contain the services of the web, and the app server are mostly application server are mostly covering the whole web service and web container.
Right. So if you look at the figure, so basically talking about website, right? Website you can put in a web server, but it only will contain the static web pages and also all the graphic files. And then when we're talking about web application, you need to put in the application server in order for you to make the interaction because it needs codes. The codes is only appear on the application server. So whereby it does need engine to run. Whereas web server is like web hosting, then we just put the web pages, static web pages with the graphic files. For the web container, it's basically having all the similar things with application server. Yeah, so application server and web container is similar. Yeah, so web container will have all the components, yeah, for the particular code to run. For example, here we have servlet and also GSP. So this is in the web container. So in our course, yeah, we will use Glassfish server. So Glassfish server will acting as web application server. So it does have the application functionality. It also has the container functionality, and also it does have the server functionality. So 3-in-1 lah, the Glassfish server. And it can appear as individual as well. That's why the question asks you as an individual server, but you also can appear as one, like what you have for XAMPP, right? So XAMPP appear as one, right? So that is number 2. Okay, how about number 3? Explain how the application works. I'll give you the figure here. So maybe someone can explain what happens here, the flow. No one wants to try? Starting from users.
Web application use web server for user input.
Okay. So user input from user, and then it will access the front end, the HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So what the user sees and interact with, basically is the front end. And then this front end will send a request to the back end. So the back end will have the web server. So your web server actually reside on the back end component. Then we'll have file system and also database here. And this part will contain the application logic. So let's see if you log in and then you want to authenticate whether you are registered or not to that particular web application. So we'll send a request to this backend. And I will check to the database and it will respond back whether you are registered or not. And then if yes, it will allow you to log in. So it will display results to the user. So this is how you explain how the web application works from the front end into the back end using the terms of component. You can use the terms of web server, database. So this is how you explain how the application works in terms of web application architecture. Right, let's move on to the next one. This is regarding MVC. Consider the following. So let's assume you go to Pizza Hut and wait for the waiter to come. And then you just order the food. The waiter moves to the kitchen and sends the order to the cook. Okay, now the cook prepares the food. He uses ingredients to cook the food. Let's assume you order pepperoni cheese pizza. Then he needs pizza dough, pepperoni, tomato sauce, chili sauce, cheese, and mixed herbs, which he sources from the refrigerator. The cook hands over the pizza to the waiter, and now the waiter sends the pizza to you. Okay, from these points, from this description, identify model, view, and also controller from this. You can write in the chat, What is model in this scenario?
The ingredient.
Ingredient. How about view? So let's say model is ingredient. I might say pizza. Is it pizza or ingredients? Okay, let's see your understanding from this. Model here is what? Full, right? Storage itself. Okay. How about, let's say about view. Cook and ingredient. Model or view. View is pizza. Model is cook and ingredient. The cook and over the pizza. View just now you said pizza. View is an interface. Who is interface here? What is interface here? View.
Waiter.
Yeah, waiter is actually the view. The one that, are you sure waiter is the view? The front end, eh? What about controller? Controller manage the flow from model to view. Let's choose controller first. Which one is
Cook.
controller here? Cook. Okay, cook is controller. Agree. And then it will prepare the food. Then it will hand over the pizza to the waiter. So the waiter will be the view. Okay. Model will be the pizza plus ingredient. Agree? Agree or disagree?
Agree.
Agree, ya. So controller tadi ialah cook, view ialah waiter, and model ialah ingredient plus pizza lah. The actual thing. Okay, the model itself. Alright, so this is how you model the MVC. Nanti you punya group project, you also need to use MVC. Yes, you need to have model, view, and controller. So you need to identify which particular code to act as a model, which particular code to act as view, and which particular code to act as controller. So normally model will be the Java Bean, view will be the GSP, and controller will be the servlet. So that's how you categorize the codes in your MVC. Right, so let's look about HTML. I believe everyone know HTML, right? Orang pernah guna HTML? Have you ever used HTML?
A bit.
A bit. If you use PHP, if you have experience in developing PHP, so you use HTML, in your PHP basically, because PHP required HTML. All right. So what is the document type declaration that required in every HTML? You can type in the chat. Want to see the code, command, or declaration? Document type declaration. Saya document type HTML document type declaration. Yeah, that's right. Dot type. So that is required for your HTML. If not, Kalau you tak ada, your HTML will not be appear. So, dia akan jadi blank when you view your HTML. Alright. Number 6. Write a simple HTML code to embed a video stored at this link and give the video a width of 654 pixels by 360 pixels. Provide the user with controls. Okay, I want you to write this code and put it in chat. Yeah. What is the HTML code? On 52 people in this. Can anyone? Write the code? To use iframe in allow full screen. So provide the user control, right? That is the user control, right? Acceptable. Okay, that is for number 6. Yeah, one of your friends have given the HTML code to embed a video. This is how you embed a video using HTML. All right, now I want you guys to write the HTML tag for the following HTML elements. Okay, what is the HTML tag for inside a line break? One by one? Ramai dalam ni kan? Insert a line break. What is it, class? BR, right. What about add a background color? Let's say background color blue. What is the syntax for HTML tag? Background color blue. All right. How about define emphasize text? Emphasize meaning that you want to make it what? Bold or italic? Emphasize, right? Bold lah, basically. How to do that? What's the HTML tag?
EM.
EM, right? Strong also can. Yeah. How about hyperlink? You start with what? HTML.
A.
E, and then followed by
Hyperlink reference. HREF.
href. Yeah, E href equal, and then you have the quoted, right? Double quote, right? Okay, how about character to indicate an end tag? End tag. What is a character to indicate an end tag?
That mean
Alias. Yeah, end tag is actually slash. Yes, we call it slash or backslash. Backslash. Okay, how about open a link in a new tab for HTML? You want to open a new link, a hyperlink in a new tab. Blank. You need to have the blank as the what attributes in the ahref. You need to have target, right? Is it ahref? What else? A new tab. Right, that's right. Okay, how about make a numbered list? Li in
ordered line. LI.
ordered, yes, correct. What about checkbox? Checkbox start with what?
Input type checkbox.
Input type equal to checkbox. So you have a start tag, input type equal to checkbox. What about text input field? Open tag.
Input type text.
Input type equal to text.
Text.
All right, that's right. How about insert an image? Image source. Okay. How about play video files?
Source.
Source, and then followed by
SRC.
audio.
Source SRC.
SRC. All right, everyone got it? Number 7. So this is the HTML tag. Yeah? So for your project later, you might want to use all these tags for your front end, for the view. All right. Any question, class, before I leave you with the quick chat question regarding the topic? No?
Doktor, nak tanya.
Yes.
The slides that you use currently, it's not the same as the one in the Google
Lecture notes.
Sites.
Lecture notes? Because this is recap,
Oh.
but the content will be much more large lah. Maksudnya lecture notes saya akan dalam 30 slide. Tapi sebab yang ni, bila saya pergi lecture dengan you all, I recap basically. So I pick up all the specific, important, significant, relevant to you. So I explain more on that. You still want the recap? Sorry, kot.
Can I still get the copy?
I will not put on the Google site, but I will share in the lecture notes punya MS Teams. Boleh?
Boleh. Thank you, Doctor.
Because it will be redundant basically. Because when I do the lecture, it's actually I recap everything in the lecture notes. So I simplify all the slide text information. So I make it into visualization maybe kan. So I just explain. So maybe you can just view the recorded video. But as requested, maybe I will also share it. Yeah, I will share it lah. Yeah. All right. Now I will give you the quick chat option. Can you guys access it? Okay.
Yes, boleh.
All right. Don't forget to tick the attendance in the EU future. Yeah? I think if no questions, that's all for today. Thank you, class.
Thank you, Doctor.
Good.